I finally finished watching Andor season 2. This is like my third or fourth time hitting record on this cuz first I was having a lighting issue and then the audio just wouldn't work. But I'm here. I'm ready to finally talk about season 2 of Andor. I say finally cuz it came out way early this year. It doesn't even feel like it came out this year. It feels like last year. And I only just now got around to finishing it because I don't have a Disney Plus account. I watched the first 8 episodes on my little brother came home from college and his TV was logged in, so he was like, "Bro, you gotta watch Andor." Uh, like my TV's logged into some random person from school's Disney Plus. You gotta watch Andor on it. Uh, so I watch 8 episodes. I'm like working a lot at the time, so I'm watching them in very, with long gaps in between. And then between episodes 8 and 9, I get logged out, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not finishing this right now. So I had to wait like family Christmas time. My dad got like a 2 month free trial of Disney Plus or something, and they were him and my little brothers were watching Andor, so I just jumped in towards the back half and watched the episodes I missed. Rewatched episode 8 because it's peak, uh, and yeah, now I could talk about Andor Season 2. And you might ask why I even bother making a review at this point. I honestly kind of. It's funny, the first season occupied way more of my brain space. I don't know if this second season quite grabbed a hold of me as strong. Because the first season was just this unexpected, like, oh, Star Wars can actually be this good? What do you mean Star Wars can be this good? I don't. This is not just like good for like an IP, especially a Disney IP. I'm like, I didn't think they could make stuff this good. Even back when I was glazing Marvel shows and Marvel stuff, they never made anything as good as Andor. Uh, and on it, it's like season 2 had higher highs, but did not quite like grab me the same way. And maybe it would have if I watched it week to week. I don't know if I don't remember if they put out an episode a week or if they put out like a batch of 3 a week, because the season 1 kind of had this structure, where like batches of 3 or 4 episodes would have sort of arcs of their own, almost like little mini movies, like a movie series about Andor. But season 2 takes that to like another extreme. So season 2 is a weird season, and I'm getting this out of the way because this kind of informs my entire opinion on the season. Season 2 is a 12 episode season, and each 3 episodes is a chunk of time with a year long time gap in between. Now, the reason that they did this is originally Andor was going to have a 5 more seasons, or no, it was going to be a 5 season show. So it was going to have 4 more seasons. But at some point, and I don't think this was a Disney passing it down the line. I'm not going to like blame Disney for this one necessarily. I'm not blaming anyone for it really. I think it was a creative choice. It's just not one that I super loved. Basically, there was originally going to be 5 seasons, and leading up to right before Rogue One, right before Andor goes on his mission to get the Death Star plans, and if you've seen Rogue One, you know the deal. Which, if you haven't, why would you have not seen it if you're watching Andor? But anyway, the plan was originally to have 5 seasons, and basically what they did was each of these 3 episode chunks is like almost like feels like a section of each one of those seasons. It's not an entire season's worth of TV plot truncated down into 3 episodes repeated 4 times. That would be bad. It's like in the hypothetical universe where you have those 4 seasons, you took the 3 most important best episodes of each of those seasons and plopped them into this, which creates for me, and I'm starting with the negative so I can talk about like when it's at its peak, when it's great. That what that approach achieves is when this season is at its best, you're getting like a nothing but the hits highlight of what the 5 season plan would have been. You're getting like only the biggest, most important moments. Uh, but when that doesn't hit, what you're getting is, in my opinion, a kind of annoying amount of like exposition and mental gap filling in that you have to do to explain how we got, like, every time they do a 1 year time jump, except the last one. I think the last time jump actually doesn't have this problem. But all the first like so episodes 1, 4, and 7 basically, all have a problem where they have to like establish a bunch of new information that normally would be established by other episodes in those seasons, but they're almost like doing a recap of like, okay, well, here, this character was doing this in episode 3, and now a year has passed, and that character is here doing this in episode 4. And, it's just kind of, like, it kind of weakens the season overall. It makes me a little less, like, when I was watching it originally on my brother's TV, part of the reason I didn't watch it fast was I was just like, oh, I can just watch 3 episodes when I have time, wait weeks, and then watch the next 3 episodes, because it's not like it doesn't have the usual TV problem of I'm gonna forget the thing that happened last episode if I don't immediately watch the next one like within a week. It's like, no, they're kind of like 4 movies, you know? They really are like 4 3-episode set, 4 Andor movies put together in a season, and the first 2 movies are just not as interesting as the 3rd and 4th movie. Like, it takes, like, in the first 3 episodes, this Gorman plot point gets set up, and the payoff for that plot point is incredible. It's episode 8 and then 9, and the payoff for like, those are the 2 best episodes maybe of the whole show. Like, the payoff is, it's mind-blowing. But then to get there, and I didn't even rewatch these when my family was rewatching because I didn't want to. To get there, you have to get through, like, 2 3-episode chunks of, like, building up to that plot point. And it's not that I'm against a slow build. I mean, I'm a Better Call Saul fan, for God's sakes. Like, Better Call Saul seasons have, on average, probably 3 episodes worth of exciting, game-changing material, and the rest is character work and build-up. My problem is that when you're doing this weird 3-episode chunk structure, there's not a lot of time for character build-up. Some of the characters are handled really well. Like, I think Mon Mothma's storyline actually benefits a lot from this structure, because in season 1, the Mon Mothma stuff was interesting, but it was definitely, like, the slowest part. It's, like, political espionage, the ultimate, like, characters in a room talking material. Definitely the slowest stuff. But in season 2, like, the structure of season 2 actually benefits her storyline, because instead of, like, they made a wise choice for each batch to basically, like, focus on an event that was happening to Mon Mothma, or she was going to. In the first 3 episodes, she's at a party. And within this party, stuff unfolds. It's honestly very Succession-like. Characters in a room talking, but the things they're not saying imply way more than the things they are saying, kind of thing. Political drama, basically. I say Succession, but really it's more like a political drama. And then the second batch, she's kind of, at another party, another event, and it ties into Luthen. Like, and then the third batch, she's actually not in it until, like, the last episode is big focused around her, and it's a big, like, set piece. So, like, the Mon Mothma stuff is maybe my favorite part of the season. Consistently, in each of the arcs, except the 4th one where she's not really a big player. But the first 3 arcs, the Mon Mothma stuff is maybe my favorite. Like the best material. Certainly the best material of the first 2 chunks that are doing a lot of setup. So, like, her storyline really benefits from this truncated down rather than having to watch 4 seasons of Star Wars political intrigue starring Mon Mothma, which I think maybe could have gotten a little old. Instead, you get these really focused bites of it, and that works wonderful. I love, especially the party subplot in episodes 1 to 3 is easily the highlight of those first 3 episodes. But then there are other characters like Wilmon, who is the guy from the same planet that Bix and Andor are from, Ferrix. Is that what it? I lose track of the planet names, but I Wilmon and he's with them and he's from that planet. He's the other extreme where every chunk of 3 he's doing a different thing, and I just like don't know enough about him to care about the thing that he's doing. Like, I care about it in relation to the other characters that are involved in it, but I don't care about him. And I feel like I would if he had 5 seasons of screen time to, like, flesh out these. In the first chunk of episodes, he's with Bix. In the second chunk of episodes, he's with Forrest Whitaker's character, Saw Gerrera. In the third chunk of episodes, he's on Gorman. And in the fourth chunk of episodes, he's with the Rebellion. And each time they kind of have to set up what he's up to now. And each time it's like, I care about those things because he's with a more interesting character. Like, and there's a lot of that. Wilmon's like the worst case scenario, but this happens to a lot of the other characters in various ways throughout this season, where it's like, what they're doing in one arc is really, really interesting, but then what they're doing in the next arc is kind of dull. And then, like, and Andor Season 1 also had some uneven pacing, but with this season, it just makes me, like, wish there were 5 seasons. Like, if there were 5 seasons, it would be a really slow-paced, like, maybe not quite Better Call Saul based. I can't talk. Better Call Saul paced, but definitely slower. It would be a really slower paced, like, drama kind of show, which maybe would turn off some of the Star Wars fans, but would make me a happy, happy boy. You know, like, so I kind of watch it, and I'm like, I like Andor Season 2. I love Andor Season 2. You know, at its best, it really picks up in the second half. But those first half of episodes that I was watching, I was kind of like, this is good, but man, I wish we didn't have to stop every 3 episodes to, like, establish a bunch of new information. And I knew the structure was going to be like that going in. I think it's smart if you're going to watch, if you liked Season 1, you haven't seen Season 2 yet, maybe you don't have a Disney Plus like me. If you're going to watch it, keep in mind that it has this kind of structure. Like, if you're going to get a Disney Plus trial for, like, a month or whatever and watch it, try to watch it in, like, chunks of, like, treat it like 4 movies, basically, and you'll probably like it more. But for me, as a TV fan, it was a little bit of, like, yeah, okay, I wish this was a, like, full 5 season, like, my imagination is fueled of how much more, like, and it doesn't, and, like, because the good parts are so good, it makes me even more like, man, I wish I could, like, Wilmon spends this chunk of episodes with Saw Gerrera. I would love to have spent more time with Saw Gerrera, learned more about the differences between his style of rebellion and what is being waged by, you know, everyone else. There's a whole sort of conflict, particularly in the last episodes, about the rebellion forces not trusting Luthen and vice versa. And that didn't really land for me because I didn't see enough of, like, why, like, the reasons they would have to not trust each other. Whereas I feel like 5 seasons, you get to see Luthen probably do some more shady stuff, because obviously he does shady stuff in the first season and the second season. He does shady things in the name of, like, the rebellion. And he's not, like, a very good team player. So, like, I get it ideologically, but the actions don't support it. And it's like there's a lot of little things like that in this season where I'm like, man, if they wrote us a whole season of television for each of these 3 episodes, like almost every problem that I have with any of the sets of 3 episodes could be solved by it being an entire season, by that set of 3 being an entire season of TV instead. So it's kind of it's a weird thing, but oh man, when it's great, it's so great. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm ragging on it like it was disappointing. It really wasn't disappointing. It's just kind of the reality of the way that they chose to. It's like, okay, if we're not going to get the 5-season epic, this is pretty much the best case possible scenario. Where, like, the Gorman stuff, the Gorman Rebel, episode 8 has you, like, on pins and needles and also a sinking pit in my stomach the entire time. It's incredible. And then to follow that up with episode 9, Mon Mothma's speech, I see it talked about online, so I was kind of prepared for it, but like her just dropping the big old genocide word, the word that I'm almost scared to say in my YouTube video because I don't want it to get demonetized or like algorithm buried, but we're 16 minutes in, so it's fine. Like, that's just in a Star Wars show. They just are like talking about genocide and there's some other like there's like a Bix has to fight off like a rapist at one point. Like there's some like serious like R-rated topics in the Star Wars Rogue One prequel show, and it's just like, especially for a Disney IP, an incredible amount of like narrative freedom, creative freedom was given. And I think it's probably because it's, like season 1 was this thing that they didn't really market and didn't really expect to be successful. And season 2 was like, okay, this show's popular, but we're like, I don't know if, who knows if it was Tony Gilroy, the creator, not wanting to spend the next decade making Andor seasons, or if it was Disney not wanting to finance a decade of Andor seasons. I don't know, but I think logistically there was, it's probably some mix of both as to why we didn't get the 5-season package. But man, I would have loved the 5-season package because it's so good. It's peak. When Cyril is looking around the massacre scene and he doesn't know who to believe anymore, he's completely like disillusioned by his sort of like fascisty like law and order ideology crumbling around him, and he sees Andor and he locks in, and you could see it on his face, this like, I have someone to fight now. And it's not like, you're not, and it's just, it's like crushing. You're like, oh no, this is when, and they build it up too, like, they're like, when are him and Andor gonna interact? When him and Andor gonna interact? And it happens at the worst possible moment. That whole sequence is, I think Cyril is one of the more underrated, like, interesting characters in the show. A perfect example of a character that in any other Star Wars media would be either one-dimensional or, like, his morality path would not be clear. I think of, like, General Hux in the sequel films being like, I'm a Nazi, in the first movie, and then by the third movie being like, I'm the traitor, I'm the spy, and it, like, doesn't land because the character hasn't been developed. Cyril is developed wonderfully, and is actually, like, him and Deidre are such, like, interesting indictments of, like, all of the Imperial people in this show, really, except, I guess, Krennic from Rogue One, who kind of just shows up to be the big scary face, and, he's very effective at that. He shows up because having Darth Vader show up in this show would, like, kind of be too much. So Krennic is the perfect person to, like, show up when shit is going down. But anyway, like, all the other Imperial people are such, like, are such great portraits of, like, the seeping mindset of fascism. And the whole show is such a crazy, like, commentary on fascism, which is very much needed, given our current world, given our current political situation. Like, you want to talk about making shows political. Andor is as political as Star Wars will ever get. I'm confident. I can confidently say Disney is never going to produce another more political piece of Star Wars media. This is about as political as Star Wars can get before you're before you're scaring away the lightsaber fans, like and it's just like, as someone who likes that, like, that's what I like about the prequels, even though I don't really like the prequels, is the world building and political intrigue, and, like, this just builds on that. This is like a bridge between, literally, it's plot-wise a bridge between original trilogy and prequels. This and Clone Wars probably work together to do that, kind of. And it's funny because Clone Wars is the extreme example. Like, if I'm looking for a long Star Wars show, Clone Wars is the one. But the problem is that Clone Wars is also a kids show. I don't want to sift through all the kids show stuff to get the good long-form Star Wars world building. Like, I just don't. That's why I haven't watched the Clone Wars. But I'm like, Andor doesn't have the kids stuff. So I'm like, it's okay. I'm like, I enjoy it. It's disappointing that it's over. But I'm glad, like, the story is told, like this 4 seasons in one, like, chunk structure of a season 2, this chimera of a season 2 to get to Rogue One plot-wise is better than the show getting 2 more seasons and then getting canceled by Disney before it catches up to the main timeline. Like, that's so, like, I'll take it. And the whole episode 10, too, that's, like, all focused on Luthen and, like, and his assistant, Kreia. Is it Kreia or Freya? I'm not saying it right, but, like, talk about a character that seemed like a background character that another another piece of Star Wars media would not do very much with, but here we get an entire, like, backstory and sort of, like, episodes centered around her. Like, there's just a lot of that I'm like, I like, as good as season 2 is, I can't even imagine how good seasons 2 through 5, if they were made that way, it could have been. That's what it is. It's like Andor season 2 is like a 9 out of 10. It's probably better than the first season. Just, like, it has higher highs, for sure. But, my ideal Andor could have been a 10 out of 10. Like, generational television. Instead, it's just... I say just, but this is still... Instead, it is the shining pillar of probably the best thing that will ever come out of Star Wars, and also probably the best thing that will ever come out of the Disney Plus streaming platform. Like, that's why I'm like, I have no interest in anything else that is on Disney Plus. I have, like, maybe I have, like, mild interest in the Daredevil show, but, like, not really. Not enough to have a Disney Plus account. Not enough to pay Disney to, like, have an account, So it's Andor. If you could get a hold of Disney Plus, even just, like, a 1-week trial, watch Andor, you're good. That's it. It's the crown jewel of Disney Plus. The only, arguably, I think probably the only prestige TV show that platform has. It's sort of, because it's the only one to come out of a major Disney IP like that. Will we ever get another one? Who knows? It would have to happen by accident, because Andor, I think, kind of happened by accident. But what a happy accident it was. And what a tragic one it was, too. Watching those, the back half really sort of pays off this, like, there's a, you get to the end, and it's this rewarding, okay, we have an objective now, and that objective is going to be achieved in Rogue One, and then the objective achieved in Rogue One is going to allow for the original trilogy of films to happen. But the characters sacrifice everything to get there. You know, Bix sacrifices her, like, love and, you know, having a father for her child. You know, Luthen sacrifices his life. You know, Rhea has to like kill her, but even the Empire people involved don't get out happy. You know, Deidre sacrifices her whole career. Deidre ends up rotting away in a cell. Cyril is dead. You know, all the Rogue One characters are obviously also dead. It really is like with this whole storyline all the way into Rogue One, you have this like the original trilogy as this hero's journey is not really focused on like what like how rebellions are actually born and built and created and the sacrifices that are made for them. It's more focused on, you know, the hero's journey, the Luke and Darth Vader, and that's all good stuff. I'm not like dismissing that. I'm just saying that like Andor and Rogue One as a story are now this like, you know, this epic about like how rebellions are born, how they are created through, you know, key moments and events, and how like they can come from anywhere. Like, and that's what's because Andor didn't set out to be this revolutionary hero. That's what's it's like after every arc, he's like, I don't really want to be a part of this. I don't. But somehow he keeps how it's the story of how one guy keeps ending up in the right place at the right time. And I love when you like when he's rescuing Mon Mothma in episode 9 and they go to the safe house and you see her realizing, like over the course of the episode, you see her realizing that this guy she's never met has been there for every major watershed moment that like fueled this rebellion. And he's like the unsung hero, you know? He's not the Mon Mothma leader. He's not even like he's not the Mon Mothma leader. He's not the Luke Skywalker that's gonna come later. He is the unsung, like, he's not even like the he's not the organizer. He's not even like the shadow organizer of the movement like Luthen. He is just a guy who was there at all of these different times and every time chose to like be a hero or be a leader. And that's like even in Rogue One, he's not the hero main character. He's the one who inspires others. Like, what a powerful, like, that's so much more powerful than a hero's journey is like a leader's journey. You know, a reluctant leader, leadership in times of crisis. Like anyone trying to lead in a time of crisis should look at that. Yeah, it's just like a really, I've never really seen a story like that before about like you know, someone who just repeatedly ends up in these leadership positions and, you know, doesn't want them, but every time does, you know, the best possible thing, not just doing the right thing, but inspiring everyone around him to be a brave hero who does the right thing as well. Like, that's so cool. I fucking love Andor, dude. It's so good. It's so peak. And even though I spent the first half of this video complaining about the structure of it, I really do implore anyone who hasn't seen it to watch it, because it's in a capital I important story to be told, you know, like, and telling it through a franchise as big as Star Wars, like, means it can reach, you know, such a wide audience of people, and that's important too. I kind of said the same thing about Superman when I was reviewing that, of like, you know, like, that's the best I can compare Andor to, is like some of these James Gunn projects where it's like he actually does have something important to say, and he's good at saying it through these mega popular, broadly accessible, you know, franchises. And I'll always shout out the media, like I'll always shout out when creatives manage to say something meaningful with like a big name franchise. You know, a big with I'll always shout out when creators make a great artistic statement with, you know, a broadly accessible media piece. It's like One Piece. One Piece. The One Piece too. Okay, I'm just like rambling at this point, not even related to Andor, just about how good Andor is. But yeah, I've hit the 30-minute mark, so it's time to like stop the video now. Watch Andor and watch One Piece too, and watch Peacemaker. I don't know. I'm just saying shit. Watch Andor. Arrivederci.